Hello, welcome to the live stream. That was your intro of the cats eating their dinner, which they are very excited that they now get earlier because the live streams start half an hour earlier. It's lovely to see everyone. Thanks for being here. Floof tails, yes, correct. It is some floof tails right there, ready for you. Eric says, made it on time again. Hello from Rochester. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I was doing the promo this morning for the live stream, and I like instinctively said 8, and then I had to correct myself to 7:30. So, that's where we're at. From the back, they look like raccoons. They do really have little raccoon tails. Like, they've got some very cute little raccoon tails. Dora also had a raccoon tail, so, we've really been doing a great job with the tabby raccoon tails. Sophie says cat butts. Sophie, your floof is floof of the week this week. Your floof got usurped by kittens last week because kittens always kind of win. Whatever the youngest cat is gets to move ahead of the queue in Floof of the Week. That's what Aaron decided. Hello, welcome. Today is Talking Dough and Eating Donuts. We have a good donut. How much are we going to talk about money? I don't know. I had the topic for this live stream was suggested last week, and I think it is very interesting. It is about how shareholder profits and maximizing shareholder revenue wasn't always the top focus for companies. And when it kind of had its origins, and now a lot of the wars that are happening between short-term profits, maximizing shareholder revenue, versus environmental social governance, which is essentially, combinations of policies that affect social good, shareholder activism. So, there's been a lot of shareholder activism over the past decade, 2 decades, where a lot of people that are trying to push for better environmental positions, less human trafficking, and slavery in supply chains from major corporations, just general social good policies are engaging in shareholder activism, which means that they are finding ways to buy up significant voting blocks. And then often one of the methods by which they do this, voting blocks meaning buy a lot of shares of publicly traded companies, particularly this is happening a lot with the fossil fuel sector. And then often one of the things they're doing is introducing a lot of these resolutions. So various sort of shareholder initiatives that then get voted on by shareholders. And this is a method of shareholder activism. It's kind of one of the, I would describe, trendiest ways of trying to push international corporations, the actual embodiment of capitalism, towards better social good policies. However, there are quite a few conservative, well-funded folks that are now using multiple angles to attack shareholder activism from a bunch of different angles. Some of them are technicalities as far as trying to kind of explore different parts of, a lot of this is happening around DEI policies. So when shareholder activists are trying to push for better diversity on the board of the organization, better, diversity and equity in hiring. One of the things that's happening is this backlash against DEI is being attacked by essentially saying it violates the Equal Protection Clause, by saying like, oh, we need to have this many women on the board. We need to make sure that we don't have all white boards, which a lot of shareholder activists are doing by introducing resolutions. Anyway, this is a very long intro to the concept. of today. But there's a lot of pushback right now. So sometimes it's through this equal protection clause. Sometimes it's just trying to introduce their own resolutions that limit resolutions that can be adopted by shareholders or put forward by shareholders. And there's some interesting scholarship on environmental social governance and if it even runs counter to the idea of shareholder value. So when we talk about maximizing shareholder value, what kind of traditionally used to be was short-term profits for shareholders. But realistically now, statistically and realistically, most investors in publicly traded corporations are 401k pensions. Most people that own stocks in this country, which is now a majority of people in America that own stocks, actually do so inside of a 401k, 403p pension. And those and institutional investors like Vanguard and those investor blocks are investing with a long-term horizon. Sovereign wealth funds is another one, which is like countries, quite often oil countries that have a lot of money now, but are getting that money off a finite resource. They're trying to diversify and find other things to invest in. And one of the things they do is they buy up large stocks of publicly traded companies. And so the majority of investors are actually looking at a long time horizon now. And maximizing short-term profits may not make the most sense. Maximizing for social good, maximizing for the company being able to pivot as fossil fuels dry up. Like we just saw this with Coca-Cola, saving 1 cent per 1 cent per bottle on their supply chain by having slavery in their sugar supply chain. But it's going to cost them far more than 1 cent per bottle to clean up the PR mess that has resulted from the fact that Coca-Cola now is associated with slavery in its supply chain. And so, yes, essentially, that is the proposed topic for this week. And I liked to pretend that I didn't have anything to say about it, but I just talked for 7 minutes introducing the concept, so it's possible that I do have things to say about it. But in the course of researching this topic, and like getting some of the more recent data on it, I actually found it so interesting, and there's so much new stuff in the past couple years with the DEI backlash, so to speak, that I honestly feel like I'm not going to do it justice today, and I almost want to postpone it so that I can do more research. So we will see. Let me introduce the donut for today because look at this. Look at this adorable donut container Erin got me. This is a kitten protection device. It doesn't exactly go with this background, but when I'm in the new office, I promise it's going to look great in there. Okay, so the donut for today is a raspberry rose bombolini, which we've previously had the bombolini before. It's a type of Italian donut we learned that is filled with jam. So this one is filled with roseberry jam, and then it's covered in sugar. And the sugar is a rose-flavored sugar. Pretty good looking. Look how cute my little bell jar for donuts is. And also kitten protector. And I will say, it has already defended me from the kitten. So thank you, Erin, for contributing. This was part of my seemingly all kitchen-related birthday presents that I've gotten. I also got an air fryer, and I love it, and I wish we would have gotten it years ago. It's really quite phenomenal, and I'm very sad we didn't get it years ago. I was at a bat mitzvah on Sunday, and I was promised a donut wall. They didn't deliver. Ugh, that's a bummer. A donut wall sounds fun, but do you grab it off with your hands, or do you have to try to get it off? I'm imagining like a pegs. I guess you don't know because you didn't see it. I still have not seen a donut wall, so we don't really know. This looks amazing. It is the best kitten protection bell jar looking container. Yes, Aaron said that he considered a larger one, but I do think this is going to be a little too small for some donuts, but it's so cutely perfect for like this donut. So The kittens do always win. I mean, the kittens last week were so cute, I almost want to show them again. If I don't show them as flu for the week and I just show them because they're really cute, does it count as flu for the week? Also, I have this picture that I do want to show you all. What are you doing down there? The cat is doing something. She's up to something. I want to show you all. Look at Machka just with her face on her paw on Google's face. This is from earlier this week, but I thought it was quality. So there's my kitten. They're still technically kittens because they're under a year old, but they are not as kitteny as last week's flu for the week. I mean, look at those floofs. We can look at them again. Look how cute they are. They're such tiny babies, but they're ragdoll, so they're going to be giant. They had donuts, but they were on platters. I mean, were the platters near a wall? Maybe that's what they meant by donut wall. I'm also told there was a chocolate fountain. Ooh, I feel like you could put the donut underneath the chocolate fountain. Is there... I wonder if there's been a chocolate... Someone at some point has made a chocolate wall, like a waterfall on a wall filled with chocolate. Someone very rich somewhere has done that. Yeah, these cats have such sibling energy. It's really ridiculous. We don't actually know if Machka is the younger sibling, but she embodies the younger sibling energy in so many ways. She is the smaller sibling, but she just is a younger sibling somehow over Kugel. Kugel always, she'll play with her sister, but she does kind of have the like, okay, you are now too much and you need to calm down. Also, she will act annoyed at her sister, but then if her sister is like, I don't know, sneezing or like has a reverse sneeze and is stressed out, Kugel will race over to take care of her. If she makes a meow that sounds like she might actually be in distress versus just being annoying, Kugel will stop whatever she's doing and race to go take care of her. And Machka is the same way, but she doesn't know how to take care. Kugel at least seems to like do useful things. I keep looking over there because Google's over there. Google does seem to like at least, you know, she like holds her down. Machka, like I saw her when Kugel was having a reverse sneezing episode, race over to Kugel and then just whack Kugel on the face, which she was trying to help her. She just doesn't understand. She doesn't have very good instincts for these things. Oh, they also had people packing care packages for displaced people. That's very sweet. I mean, that's appropriate for a bat mitzvah, too. Willy Wonka. Oh, yes. Willy Wonka did have a chocolate wall, so that is definitely real. Certified real person. So anyway, we're supposed to talk about shareholder value. But I feel like I could do a better live stream on this topic next week. Also, I'm tired and unmotivated today. It is my first 3-day weekend in ages. Because tomorrow is a federal holiday. It's Juneteenth, and we actually get that day off, and it's a Wednesday. So most federal holidays are Mondays or weekends. So they either fall when I'm on air and therefore can't get off unless I get a sub, or, and they've just been weekends recently, the ones that rotate. It's just for the past couple years because of the timing. But then all the other federal holidays always fall on like a Monday, which is my normal weekend. So it means that I have to take a different day off from everyone else to like make up the Monday holiday because it fell on my weekend anyway. But this time, the federal holiday is on a Wednesday, so I get to take it off with everyone else. I'm not on air, so I don't have to get a sub, and like, you know, arrange that. And it's at the end of my Monday, Tuesday weekend. I did give a talk yesterday, and I have a union negotiation meeting tonight, and then I have the live stream today. So, and there was a explosion on the highway very early this morning, and ended up like taking pictures of it and filing it because I was closer than my other coworkers to it. So really, I'm not getting a 3-day weekend. I'm working every day, but it's more like a 3-day weekend. The best party favor I've ever gotten at a party, earplugs. My question, were the earplugs only for the adults at the bat mitzvah? Because that's actually kind of brilliant. Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure capitalization. So anyway, I don't really want to talk about the live stream topic. So, how about everybody just tell me what they were up to this week? We know that David was at the bat mitzvah. Know Your Joe says, good day, everyone. Good to see you here. For some reason, your chat is grayed out that I don't fully understand. So I don't know if you've gotten in trouble or something with chat. I don't get Juneteenth off. I appreciate the Europeans. They don't pretend there's a reason for a holiday. They just call it the June bank holiday. Yeah, I didn't realize that, like, bank holidays are, like, also declared by the central bank. I didn't realize that for a long time. Juneteenth is a U.S. federal holiday now, which is nice. I previously always had to work on Juneteenth for Juneteenth events at my old job. So it was like double the work because we would like lead a Juneteenth bike ride to the like big like festival that happens in the Black neighborhood here. And it would just like always be a ton more work for Juneteenth. And now I get it off. I mean, a lot of people filed stories related to Juneteenth. So it's long overdue for a federal holiday. And can we get rid of Columbus Day, please? But yeah, it is a bummer that you don't get U.S. federal holidays off. But you do just get random days off because you have European holidays, right? Oh, gray means it's a duplicate message. Okay, Aaron, the person who made the graphic interface is telling me what it works. Oh, David says, I'm teaching an early morning course to people in Egypt. They wanted 2 a.m. my time, and I bargained them to 6 a.m. my time. Yeah, 2 a.m. is, even for someone who works really weird hours, I cannot imagine myself being an effective teacher at 2 a.m. That's in, like, the camp of, like, the ineffective times. I hate it when you've only got 2 time zones, there's usually some times that overlap, but it's when you've got, like, America, you've got East and West Coast America, Europe, and Australia or Asia, that it just, like, becomes impossible to find a time that works for everyone, especially if it's, like, you want it during business hours. The whole house gets Juneteenth off this year. We are struggling to not make plans. I'm really excited that it's like a holiday. I am a little nervous about going to the ice rink tomorrow, but school's already out for the summer. So I don't know if it's going to be any worse with it being a holiday. Maybe some more of the adult skaters are going to be there. Wait, why don't you get the bank holidays? I don't get European holidays, something my European boss can't remember. I feel like we need to bargain for you, David. I feel like if you're not getting the US federal holidays, you should be getting the European holidays. And I mean, I think you should get both, really. My current workplace doesn't do MLK or President's Day, so we have no breaks from January until May. Oh, that's rough. Why? Do you have a reason that you don't do it? Are you I can't remember what you do for a living, but are you like in a critical care industry? Because we don't, like, someone has to work because we're 24/7 and we're an essential industry. Someone has to work on all the holidays, but you can trade out if you really want to get a holiday and you're like scheduled to work. And I work weekends, so it's like always a struggle. There's fewer people that can cover during the weekends. But what do people do on Juneteenth exactly? I mean, I think that people that aren't African American haven't historically done a ton of things because it's only been a federal holiday for like 2 years. But in in my experience, Juneteenth, there's always like picnics, usually music. Sometimes there'll be like social justice programming. But it's traditionally been like a holiday that like, I don't know, the things I've always gone to have like been through Black churches or Black community organizations, which makes sense. For the past 20 years, I've been on Juneteenth Statesville Committee. What is Statesville? Is that your town? Explain what Statesville means. Is it your town? I guess it's your town. I just set up for educational program tomorrow and big event is set for Saturday. Over 80 vendors. Holy crap. That's amazing. That's really cool. I also don't know what most people do on federal holidays. I mean, I think that most federal holidays that aren't also some kind of religious holiday, people mostly just chill. Memorial Day, people go visit cemeteries. And like in Portland, the only like this beautiful mausoleum, the one day a year they're open is Memorial Day. Veterans Day, I don't know. I used to have to make breakfast in bed for my parents because they're both veterans. A lot of people don't get Veterans Day off though, because it's usually like a midweek holiday. What do people do? 4th of July, fireworks and drinking and usually being way too hot. Oh, and also like decorating for parades. Christmas is a religious holiday, but although most people I think in the US celebrate it in a secular way. So, yeah, I mean, I think popular culture lets us know enough what people do on Christmas. Thanksgiving, ignore historical sacrifices and the myth of Thanksgiving. I don't know. Canadian Thanksgiving is a month earlier, but people do the same thing, which is just eat too much food and drive too much. So, okay. I remember one year. I remember when you were in Manila for work. I mean, maybe you were in there longer, but you spent like a couple months in Manila, right? For Nino Aquino Day, and I asked them what they did for that, and they said get time and a half. Yeah, I mean that's valid. I used to work at a grocery store where we still got time and a half for working on Sundays. And nowadays, Sundays are the busiest day at grocery stores in America. Very un-German. But yeah, so sometimes you could work like 12 hours on Sunday and work a double and get time and a half for all that time. And it was really great. And then like later employees were hired and they only got an extra $1.50 an hour on Sundays, but that's still like a chunk of change. Do you want to organize a union for me? I'm the only person who does my job in the hemisphere. Well, I feel like then your bargaining committee is one person. I think you should file with the NLRB to negotiate with your bargaining unit. This sounds great. I do feel like we should negotiate for you to get more holidays. It seems silly that you don't get holidays from either Europe or the US. You should get one of the two. My company only has 6 days that we're closed. We have to be extra mean so that we have some employees that are contracted to the FBI. So they get all of their holidays, but not the rest of us. That is crap. I do not support that. I mostly have worked jobs where like, unless they were service jobs where you maybe would get holiday pay or something like that, our PTO and our holidays were all lumped together. And I kind of preferred that where we just like, you'd get essentially the same number of holidays that whatever the number of federal holidays are, which is, I think it's 8 right now. But then you got them in addition to your vacation time. So it added up to more vacation time essentially because I would just work on the holidays, but then I could like use them another time. Now, at my current job, we do have holidays, but you have to make them up within a month if you worked on the holiday. And I'm salaried, so I can't get like holiday pay because people that have to work on the holidays can get like time and a half for working on the holiday. But so I just get like comp time, but I have to do it within a month, which means that sometimes I just have like this inconvenient holiday floating around. I was very excited about my 3-day weekend, which is why I clearly have not prepped enough for this shareholder. It's really that, like, I know a fair amount about this, but I decided to do more research, and then that increased the amount that I wanted to be able to explain to you all. So now we're not talking dough and eating donuts. We're just talking about holidays, which really is about compensation because it's about workers' rights. We have a festival celebration on Saturday. Or cookout, yeah. I mean, I think cookout is, like, kind of the primary thing. I don't think Canada added Juneteenth. We have a different Free the Slaves Day, and they add Truth and Reconciliation Day in October. Yeah, the Truth and Reconciliation Day is, like, right before Canadian Thanksgiving, right? Yeah, Truth and Reconciliation Day. Canada's historic, Canada's got some work to do. I mean, the U.S. has infinitely work to do, but Canada really has some work to do. I didn't know that you had a different Free the Slaves Day. I mean, it would make sense that Canada wouldn't celebrate Juneteenth since it was specifically about slaves in Texas finding out that they had been freed by the Emancipation Proclamation. So it wouldn't really make sense because the Emancipation Proclamation did not apply to enslaved people in Canada. So, yeah. I think Christmas is more of a pagan holiday. I mean, the way a lot of people celebrated, but it is technically a Christian holiday as far as the religions that claim it. But yes, most of the ways that people celebrate it are fairly pagan. I get Christmas and Boxing Day. I keep volunteering to work, but unlike other holidays, they won't let me swap Christmas for an alternative. That's kind of a bummer. That's so funny because I think Christmas is the holiday that I like. I'm most likely to work on because so many people want it off. So I'm like so commonly swapping it, but that's because I'm in a coverage based job. But yeah, I worked on Christmas this year. I think. Did I? Now I can't remember. Doing great over here. I don't have a sense of time. We're retail hospitality adjacent and got absorbed by our biggest competitor a few years ago. The new company definitely has fewer benefits in general, and we lost 5 paid holidays with the buyout. That's such a bummer. Ugh. I mean, I guess the good news is that we can't really have a buyout in public media, but we could have a merger. That does happen in public media, but yeah. Y'all are giving me a lot of impetus going into my union negotiating meeting right after this. We're having our first bargaining session in like a week and a half, so. We've had multi-day events, an education program with speakers like local residents. One year we had Melissa Harris Perry. Another event would have been an entertainment thing with choir and reenactment. I feel like I know why you're involved now when it comes to reenactment. That's cool, though. You've been on that committee for a really long time. 2 month-long stints, but they separated from the Manelian company. After my work, I'll hired people in Cairo. Oh, that's why you're training people in Egypt. Customers were also the meanest on Sundays. The extra money wasn't worth it. I loved working on Sundays in a grocery store on Sunday pay. The only thing I didn't like about the grocery store, just particularly, I worked at a grocery store in Ohio, and in Ohio, you could not buy wine or beer on Sundays until 1:30 in the afternoon. And I worked at like a grocery store that was like a hypermarket, so like it kind of had like mixed organic and discount, but it was right on the edge of a rich neighborhood and a poor neighborhood, so it had like a very mixed clientele. And people from the poor neighborhood would never be angry when I'd be like, I'm sorry, you can't buy that beer because it's 11 a.m. on a Sunday. And then the rich people that had like $400 of groceries in their cart, which is, to be fair, this is a long time ago. So $400 of groceries in the Midwest is quite a lot of groceries. Nowadays, I think it's like 2 packets of saltines. But back then, it was a lot of groceries. And they would have like 1 bottle of wine in their cart of $400 groceries. And this is before the word Karen had prolificated, but I would get some real Karens that would be like, very angry, as though I personally was trying to accuse them of alcoholism for trying to buy a single bottle of wine at noon on a Sunday. And I'd just be like, I can lose my job if I sell you that bottle of wine. I totally recognize this is an absurd law. And that was the only part of my job that I hated. But I liked it because you would stay so busy on Sundays that there was just no downtime. Because in those kind of jobs, I would usually prefer to be busy than prefer to be slow and like just the clock to just drag by. So yeah, I also, for most of the time I worked in that grocery store, I was like a frontline supervisor. So I was constantly running around all the time. And, like with this old school, it wasn't a cell phone. It was like one of those bat internal phones. But it could like, outside calls could be forwarded to it. I don't fully understand, but it was like a portable giant phone, but it wasn't a cell phone. Like I couldn't dial out on it. And then like a ton of keys. And so I was just constantly running around with that phone and a bunch of keys. So I stayed very, very busy on Sundays. I get holidays, just not all federal holidays. I get President's Day, Labor Day, Memorial Day, July 4th, and Columbus Day. Columbus Day is a dumb holiday. We should get rid of it. Just give everybody Indigenous Peoples Day instead. Long story short, we've been doing Juneteenth by that name since the Million Man March. That's awesome. Yeah, food and music is the answer to what people do on Juneteenth. I don't get the day off, but I'm taking it. You work in education, so are you out for the summer already? Or are you still supposed to be wrapping up? Like, are you not actually done until after school's out? Because I know you're not in the classroom anymore. But yeah, that's really cool. Although I will always say that taking a day to then go do a bunch of organizing for something else is like more stressful. I will say, you know, of all of the like totally useless hand waving things that businesses did towards diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, which comes back to the topic we're supposed to be talking about today, but all of the like kind of hand wavy crap exercises that a lot of companies did, you know, after George Floyd's murder and all of the protests. One of the cool things was actually finally making Juneteenth a holiday and a federal holiday, and having a lot of people finally get it off work. So I feel like that alone makes it somewhat worth it. I feel like I only knew about Juneteenth as a holiday because I grew up in a like majority Black city, and I feel like when I moved to Portland, there was a lot less awareness because Portland is a very white city. There was a lot less awareness. And so everything was like either insulated in the historically Black community in the city, or like education efforts for like educating white people. And I feel like there was just a lot more people putting in the work, doing research, learning about it. And part of that is because they were like, hey, I get another holiday. So it's nice that people don't have to take that out. Truth and Reconciliation Day is after Thanksgiving. I like that they're like, although you don't really have the same, your Thanksgiving is more just a harvest festival in Canada because you don't have this weird pilgrim myth that we have. Canada's is August 1st, Emancipation Day. Oh, that's cool. Okay. I like that I like that this has just turned into a discussion of paid time off and holidays, but frankly, that's finance related, so I'm gonna allow it. It was only 2 years ago they agreed I could trade Good Friday for a religious holiday of my choosing. Yeah, I guess you do work for an Irish company. I was like, Good Friday is not, I am not used to that being a holiday that people get off. But also, like, Easter is not a holiday people usually get off, or like Ash Wednesday in the US because we are a secular country. But it is in Europe, and like a lot of people get Easter Monday off, and I would always be surprised at that. Like both when I lived in Europe, but also I incidentally would always end up traveling in Europe during like Easter week, and then be like, oh crap, none of the businesses are open on Easter Monday. But it's just like so not a holiday in the United States that's like celebrated by businesses or observed. I wouldn't say celebrated, but observed by businesses. But yeah, Good Friday. But I guess you are in a Catholic country. Although Ireland is not technically Catholic, it's just majority Catholic, right? Is that right? It's just minority Catholic, I think. Oh, it's not even majority. I mean, it is majority Catholic, but it's not as overwhelmingly identify as Catholic as I thought. 69.1%. But yeah, because Good Friday is not observed by non-Orthodox Christianities, as far as I understand, right? Like, it's like not super common among Protestants, non-Orthodox. Any Christians want to give me the information below? This is just Lily talking about random things. I thought it wasn't safe to fly to Cairo in the current environment, so waking up early is a compromise. Yeah, I also feel like a 6 a.m. is pretty good. I don't think, I wouldn't fly to Cairo right now. It seems not smart. When I was in operations, I used to be the only one working Christmas. The entire operation shuts down on the 25th. So we put a recording on the phone lines and sent a call to voicemail. It's actually really fun, I feel like, to work Christmas if you're in broadcast. Like I've worked Christmas in a bunch of different jobs that I've had, but I actually really love it in broadcast because it's kind of fun to do the radio when it just feels cozier. It feels fun, feels very low stakes. Unless there's breaking news, it is like all fluff stories that have been filed way ahead of time. Wait, what didn't apply to enslaved Indian territories? Is Truth and Reconciliation Day? Oh, you mean Emancipation Proclamation. Liquor Control Board of Ontario here wants to go on strike. Last time it was the transit system for Toronto. We actually, in Portland, we just had like a huge strike this morning. Like 3,000 nurses are on strike for Providence. It's been like bubbling under the surface. So Providence is a Catholic hospital, but it has like an integrated healthcare plan. It's huge in Oregon. It's like one of the biggest, or I think it's the second largest, second or third, now that I'm thinking about it. It's in the top 3 healthcare networks in the whole state. But anyway, 3,000 nurses are on strike through Thursday today. So yeah, we've had a big strike there. Ohio, that makes a difference. I worked at Fred Meyer's in Hillsborough, all church people. Oh, I will say that it's all church people in Ohio. I think you're underestimating how many. Everyone's church people in Ohio. Especially Cincinnati, but yeah, I worked first at the parent company of Fred Meyer, Kroger. I worked at a Kroger, and then I later worked in the same parking lot at a competing one, which at the time was owned by Super Value. The brand name was Biggs. It's not super common outside the Midwest, but Super Value is actually a French company. And at the time, they were like the 7th largest grocery chain in the country. It was really interesting because Kroger was union. And I worked there for like 2 or 3 years. And then I worked at Biggs for 2 years. And Kroger, I got paid significantly less and had worse benefits with the union job. And I think it's just the union had been like really whittled down over the years. But also Biggs was at constant threat of being unionized, and so they constantly were trying to improve the perks so that people didn't unionize. So yeah, I don't know. It was really interesting, but I made almost 50% more for the same work at Biggs, not being union represented. And I also, if you, this wouldn't be legal now, so I don't know how it's structured. But at the time, if you opted out of their health insurance, then instead, for every hour you worked, you could get $2 put into a tuition assistance account, which for a lot of people worked because they would like work there through high school, stay on their parents' insurance, like go to the local state school, and like keep living with their parents and be on their parents' health insurance while they were in school, or be on like the college's healthcare plan. And I knew a lot of people who 100% used Big's tuition, like reimbursal program to pay all their way through college, like no student debt, which is pretty notable for a worker at a grocery store to be able to do that. I also feel like that was a little bit of product of like pretty affordable universities in Kentucky and Ohio, which is like the where I lived. So, but I knew a lot of people who went to Northern Kentucky University and University of Cincinnati. And then like a couple of like the local kind of smaller Catholic colleges, and Biggs paid for everything. You did have to pay taxes on it, but I mean, $2 an hour, it's like a big chunk. Now it wouldn't be illegal because they can't just be like, we're going to pressure you to opt out of the health insurance by giving you this other benefit that completely violates the ACA. The webcam sites do promotion for the holidays, but the office might be closed for the USA holidays. Typically, it's to make a money promotion for the webcam models. I feel like there is no chance a webcam site is going to do a good promotion on Juneteenth. I feel like everything is going to end up being tone deaf, right? Am I right? I feel like this is not going to work. Ireland is majority Catholic. I know that, a long story short, although it's not as high of a percent as I thought. But is that the national religion? I know they have freedom of religion, but I don't know if they have like a national religion. It's always very confusing to me that like the UK has a national religion. I'm very American like this. I'm very curious. Especially that like they do religious stuff in public schools. Very confusing to me. When I worked in India, that was also true, where you would have like the Catholic Church would be running schools, but like very few students would be Catholic. Even in Goa, where I was for like a bunch of the time, which was ruled by the Portuguese for like 400 years, so there were like more Catholics than there are anywhere else in India, but it was still like less than 10% of the population. So like the vast majority of students would be Hindu, and they would be going to a school taught by nuns, but it would be a government school. And it was just very confusing to me as an American, because the idea of having like government supported schools that kind of have religion in schools is just very weird to me. And I kind of never really fully like grasped that. So yeah, it also, I mean, I know we have a lot of people that are not Catholic that attend Catholic schools in the US, but they're not government supported unless your state has vouchers, but that's a different story. Schools do tend to schedule spring break around Easter. In my experience, that has not been true. Like anywhere I've lived, that hasn't been true. That is very interesting. One of my old bosses was telling me she moved around a lot as a kid because she had like a military family, and they moved to Florida. And, first or second week of school, went to show up at school, and the school was totally locked. And they were like, what is going on? Why? And it's like public school in Florida. Could not figure out what was going on. Did not realize it was Rosh Hashanah. And the public schools in that county in Florida are majority like or very significant student population that is Jewish, and therefore Rosh Hashanah was just would be automatically off dates for school, and they just had no concept that that would be a thing. The Irish office gets Good Friday and Easter Sunday. Do they get Easter Monday? When I worked Christmas at a radio station, we ran music on 1 hour long reel to reel with occasional station breaks. Nice. We since we're talk radio, it just tends to be like that is the big question I have when I'm doing my music beds for my breaks is like, do I do Christmassy music? Because I think we're all very sick of Christmassy music by Christmas. And also I like to acknowledge that many people don't celebrate Christmas like me. So Teams training with these people is mostly me talking and them not answering. They are adults. I don't force them to participate. I just did a training that was at 7 a.m. for me yesterday. It was like 9 a.m. Central Time, so not super bad, although it was my day off. So I did this training, and it was like 60-ish people, which I felt like was like pretty good turnout for an optional training on finances. But the thing that I thought was very exceptional was people were very engaged. I will say the facilitator in the company that I was teaching at was really sweet. She like went through my slides ahead of time and made polls in Teams for all of like the questions. And I think it's because she realized it would be very inefficient to have people just like put their answers in chat. But yeah, I was surprised. I'm always surprised. When I teach adults, it's sort of like often the half and half, like you were saying, or you're like, they're adults. I'm not going to force them to participate for a training. But I teach a lot of teenagers, and teenagers are on one end of the spectrum or the other. They either are like super engaged and want to just rail the discussion, and you spend your whole time trying to like get them to narrowly focus on, and they want to give you all sorts of examples, or you have a class that is like completely dead and it is impossible to get any of them to engage. And I haven't been able to find I don't think it's me. I think it's like a mix in the environment and the time of day and all sorts of things. Right. They don't acknowledge Juneteenth or it'd turn into a failed promotion like Black History Month. Oh, yeah. I don't think that's going to work. Speaking of Providence, I have some gossip. They are switching to Aetna next year because they are in many countries. Spouse works for them, hoping our insurance quality stays the same. Same. I hope so, too. Aetna is not usually amazing, but all plans within that could be different. So hopefully they negotiate a one there. What I do know about Ireland, at least a decade ago when I was there, is that both St. Patrick's Day and the day after are bank holidays. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do a proper holiday. I'm a 12-month employee. I work summers now. I mean, bummer, but I guess you do get paid and you don't have to like pay yourself for the summer, so that's nice. Oh, interesting. Alcohol and convenience stores started in the fall for Ontario, and the addiction hospital is upset with the decision done by the premier. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like a huge fan of having these like really ridiculous monopolies for any kind of substance. I'm very pro healthy competition, as you may have thought. But the hard liquor in convenience stores thing always throws me for a loop. But Ontario's is like very complicated. Ontario used to be like beer and wine. You had to go into like the totally separate store to get anything, right? Am I wrong? I thought that was the rules in Ontario. I love learning about blue laws in different places. Hi, Media Rex. You weren't here last week, but your kittens were flu for the week, and we also showed them again. Uh, Aetna sucks. I'm glad I don't have it anymore. I'm hoping this is not true. I'm hoping this is not true for ADHD Queen, because man, oh, it's rough. I I had I've had Providence and I've had Regents and I've had almost all the insurances. I've had so many insurances. And Aetna really sucked, and Aetna was really good like 10 years ago, and it's turned really crappy in my experience. And I've done a fair amount of reporting on their copay accumulator policies. But it looks like copay accumulators are about to like get banned at the national level. In Japan, they had cans with like 9% alcohol that tasted like candy for like 100 yen. I like how we always end up bringing these live streams back to Japan. I feel like every week we end up bringing stuff back to Japan. Um, yes, I will say Japan has a pretty high alcoholism problem, which is probably why many is saying the addiction hospital is not happy about the alcohol sold in convenience stores. I mean, there is some evidence that access does increase rates of abuse and overuse. And it's not, the numbers are not great in Japan. So I don't know, from anecdata there. Yeah, there was the licensed store, the LCBO, for the hard stuff, wine rack for the Canadian wine, and then beer. Oh, wait, so is Canadian wine like subsidized where it's like easier to get the Canadian wine? That's very interesting. Um, the LCBO tried to profit from making you get an ID card to get alcohol. So in Utah, this was true until a couple years ago. You had to get a card to go to any bar to drink. You had to be a member of a private club, which all of the bars had to be declared private clubs. This is like the Mormon influence on liquor laws in Utah are so brilliantly unique and complicated. Also, all of their pours have to be like weight measured, like they're done by a machine. But because of kind of a weird loophole of the automatic measuring, if you get a Long Island iced tea, which is like has so many different liquors in it, it's actually the most alcoholic if you get it in Utah because of the automatic measuring machines. Uh, they decrim drug use and people are just passed out on the street right now. I mean, Oregon is like, we've done more decriminalization than almost anywhere in the world. And people are kind of walking it back. I think it's one of these multiple factors going in. So the decriminalization passed at the same time that we were going through a historic housing crisis. And we have some of the worst availability of addiction treatment in Oregon. We have a lot of healthcare issues in Oregon, despite it being one of our largest industries, especially for rural Oregon. So one of the things that was happening with the decriminalization is that I think a lot of people are blaming that policy change for what is actually like much different downline effects. I don't know. Maybe this is too generous. This is not my area of study, but that does seem to be what is happening. So our decriminalization measure is called Measure 110, and a lot of it has been kind of recently walked back, and a lot of people are kind of holding up Oregon as this like they failed to decriminalize. But a lot of things were successful. The problem was just that they didn't do a good job of pairing the decriminalization with appropriate resources for treating addiction. I think that we are about to go through a reckoning in Oregon. So we're one of the few states that has online sports betting. And we are like, it's like skyrocketing how many people are gambling. There is the amount that our state lottery is taking in from these online sports betting games that have just gotten like out of control. I if you look at the actual revenue numbers from the state lottery, and from the Gambling Commission, because it's all publicly available data in Oregon, I genuinely think we are going to be up against this same kind of thing for gambling addiction. And I think this is true for a lot of, as sports betting has become more and more normalized. I think this is true in a lot of communities, but in Oregon in particular, we have such poor resources, and combined with the fact that we have such ready availability. And so I think we're kind of staring that directly down as well. Okay. So we have been just chatting. We haven't talked about shareholder profits at all, really, except for my 7-minute intro in the beginning. What we are going to do is we're going to dive more into this next week when I have more time to prep and really give this the go that I feel like it should be given. But what we are going to do, we're going to eat this beautiful donut in its tiny donut house. I'm so excited about this. It's so cute. So this is Talking Dough and Eating Donuts, and we've been talking about economics, kind of. Okay, so here we go. This is a raspberry rose bombolini. Let me get the overhead camera here. So it's got a rose sugar on the outside. It has raspberry jam with Oregon raspberries on the inside. And it's a bombolini, which last time we had a bombolini, we looked it up, and it's some sort of Italian donut, essentially. It looks great. It's very, I don't know if the mic can pick that up, but it's very pixelated. I did not get a napkin, so I'm probably going to regret this. Oh, it's very doughy. I mean, look at this. It's like the very messy. The raspberry jam is absolutely falling out. I would not recommend this donut for eating on camera. That is my verdict on that. Are you staring at me for a donut tax? Oh my God. I just saw that the donut plate has Oh My Dollar on it, but now it's covered in raspberry jam. Oh my God. I did not realize this, but Aaron put the Oh My Dollar logo onto the plate. But now it's covered in raspberry jam. That's so cute. How did I not see that before? It's because I immediately put a donut on it. This is the new donut display, and I'm very excited about it. This is the messiest donut. I've eaten a lot of messy donuts on this live stream. This ranks in the top 3. This is like, the raspberry jam is really good, but I don't like how drippy it is. I don't taste the rose in the sugar at all, really. Aaron agrees. I also think that's just because the raspberry is so overwhelming. But it's really good raspberry. I mean, Oregon has good berries, so. Okay. This is a quality donut, but mess-wise, I feel like it's a 4.5 out of 5. Like, I don't want to give it a 5 out of 5 because it's very messy and, like, it's the raspberry is just really good and the dough is good, but it doesn't have, like, that complexity that some of the best donuts have. Don't get jelly on the floor. The cats might find it. Well, I think we're more at risk of getting it on my lap, but the cat is staring at me in a way where I feel like at any moment she could decide. Okay, so what's my rating? I think 4.5 out of 5, which I don't have a button for that, so I'll just go back and forth between the two. What's Aaron's rating while I fill in my little donut chart?
3.5.
3.5? Why did you rate it so low?
It's unacceptably messy.
It's unacceptably messy, but I mean, it's not food's job to be edible on camera. Okay, I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5. I do think it was a higher rating than the strawberry rhubarb fritter last week, but Aaron gave that one a 5 out of 5. I just thought it was like a good mix of the textures, and the raspberry jam was just very good. I sure hope I oiled wax that laser etching enough to survive the raspberry mess. It might get nicely coated a little red pink. Yeah, okay, apparently the bombolini is, like, significantly smaller in Italy. One of my favorite things in Italy, although the bombolini are smaller. I think alcohol fits into shareholder profits. It's true, especially when we're talking about environmental social governance. Okay, we'll talk about it next week. I was telling my mom about the Marionberry syrup my partner brought from Oregon, and she asked, the mayor? That's pretty good. I will say Marionberry is one of the best berries. It's just a shame that it's not, like, very transportable, so you have to come to Oregon to find out how good they are. I also really like huckleberries, but it's been harder to find huckleberries recently. We found a new blackberry alley this morning, but it's right next to the interstate. And I kind of feel like I shouldn't be picking blackberries from immediately next to the, I mean, it's like right next to the interstate. And I feel like I already probably ingest enough, like, interstate fumes. I maybe don't need to, like, eat them in raspberry form or in blackberry form. Use your bottle brush on it. Okay, well, we'll see. Okay, we have to do flu for the week. We only have 10 minutes left. So we need to do flu for the week. By the way, this is kind of a pre-promo, but if you have been wanting to get A Cat's Guide to Money, the third edition of the book is coming out this August. I'm finally going to have physical copies of the book again. It's going to have these beautiful French fold flaps, you know, all the cats you need for your money, and it is updated now. We've been completely sold out of print books for like over a year. I'm really excited about the next print run because it means I can start giving books out again to the workshops I do in the community. But also people have been wanting to buy them for quite a while. So we have more copies of them. Tastes like propane? Yeah, exactly. Blackberries with extra PFAS and carcinogens. See, this is the point. Okay. Oh, they're often filled with custard. That sounds interesting. Okay, I've lost that comment, so it's gone. Be careful, because at least in Seattle, they sometimes spray those brambles to keep them from spreading. I have a feeling ODOT is not that motivated about this particular alley. I think it's technically not in ODOT's territory, too. I could ask the neighbors that live right next to it. It's like, it's an alley that is, I think it's city land, and I know the city wouldn't be spraying the blackberries. But I don't think you can stop blackberries in Oregon unless you get a goat. So, okay, flu for the week. This week, ready to share you all this adorable flu for the week. Do. Okay. I did that thing where I like saved it to my camera roll, but it's like not showing up. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to show it this way. I don't want to reveal anybody's name. Here's Flu for the Week, which has come back. Okay. Wait, did you just steal my Apple TV, Aaron? Well, I had Apple TV and now it's showing the couch. Hold on. The flu for the week is apparently just the cat. Maybe it was like the last thing that was shown on there. There we go. Please look at this cat. This cat is 14. This is Sophie's cat. Lucky Penny. She's very, very cute and very passed out. So this is our flu for the week. I rate this flu 15 out of 10. Very cute. There we go. There's flu for the week. I have 9 minutes left before I need to go to my next meeting, which is why we move these live streams to half an hour earlier. So, why doesn't everybody tell me what they are looking forward to this week? I'm looking forward to my 3-day weekend that hasn't really turned out to be very much of a 3-day weekend. Yes, I know ODOT sprays in, but I don't think it's technically Oregon Department of Transportation land. I think it's PBOT land, so, which is the city of Portland transportation. I picked blackberries at a farm once, and they were like 3 times the size and not full of worms. Yeah, I know. That is one of the things. I did a summer where I was doing seasonal farm work at like an organic farm, and I was picking a lot of strawberries, and I actually found myself not wanting to eat strawberries after a summer of working hot, which wasn't that hot because this is like before things started to get really hot in Oregon in the summers. But working in the hot sun, picking strawberries for like 8 hours, it made me very much less interested in strawberries for several years. But they were organic strawberries. They were quite good. Made in Oregon has an online store so people can buy Marion Berry products. So you can get Marion Berries products, but you can't get Marion Berries themselves. They like do not transport. You just have to go for jam or something like that. Oh, Lucky Penny is in the same spot beside you right now. I mean, that it's also pretty much the same spot that Machka is in right now. She's just on a pink instead of a red blanket. K-Walk Comedy is looking forward to Juneteenth celebrations. That sounds great. I'm looking forward to getting a massage this weekend. Years overdue, probably. That sounds amazing. Good luck. That sounds great. Although sometimes getting an overdue massage could be kind of painful in the beginning, but hopefully it gets rid of some long run knots. Is it at like a good, really hard place? For my birthday last year, I went to this Chinese massage place, and I went with a friend who actually speaks Chinese, which was very helpful because the people that massage us did not speak any English at all. But man, it was like one of those fully clothed like table massages, and it was a very good deal for how good of a hard massage it was. It was pretty great. Now I'm kind of thinking that maybe I also want to do that for my birthday this year. Blackberries, yeah, they're like the Chuck Norris of wild fruit. Yeah, they are very, I mean, In Oregon, they're like quite bad. I don't know how bad they are in other places. They weren't bad where I grew up, at least, but they are very bad out here. But goats are very good at getting rid of blackberries. When I first moved to Oregon, I saw a sign like in the general store in the place where I lived in rural Oregon that said blackberry removal and had a number to call. And I was like, I'll remove your blackberries. Little did I know. Oh, looking forward to my birthday. That's great. And Girl Scout day camp. Are you going as that Girl Scout day camp sounds tiring. Maybe fun though. I mean, I'm glad you're looking forward to it. That sounds exhausting to me. I found it kind of exhausting when I was a kid. I can't imagine it as an adult. Lucky Penny Floof Rainbow Heart. Very cute. Eric says, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. I will also remind people that if you join the Personal Finance Society, which you can do for free, although any money that you contribute will go towards the community programs that we do and hosting fees for the website. But if you go to ohmydollar.com/support, you'll be directed to our Patreon, and I send out reminders about the live stream, which tend to work better than the YouTube notifications. We are on the precipice of this possibly turning back into a planner, a fake planner, a live stream, because we have there's so much like planner stuff, content coming out. Also, I've been on a 6-month stationary no-buy that is almost end. It's been surprisingly easy, but I'm a little worried that it might start to get hard as some of the pre-orders are happening. Where could I send in pictures of my cat? They've passed on, but they could be the floof of the week. Questions at ohmydollar.com. You can send your floofs of the week. I would love to have your cats as floof of the week. Questions at ohmydollar.com is where you send that. Can we send dog pictures? I don't have a cat. Yes, floof of the week is, we have also had a reptilian floof of the week. So it's floof is a state of mind. A lightly camouflaged planner channel. I mean, frankly, the thing about the planner stuff is it gets views. So it often brings in a new audience that sticks around to talk about the finance stuff. So I don't even feel that bad about doing it. But I do watch people that are really good at making planner content, and I'm like, why am I even trying to play in this world? I tried to get a massage last year when I had serious pain in my traps, and as I was there, someone from the health department was inspecting and found their license was expired. Oh my gosh! I mean, how risky would, I guess you do want your massage place to have a health license. I'm doing an 100-day yoga challenge because my yoga studio is doing it this summer. It's really quite a time commitment, and I'm kind of in denial about how much time it's taking up. But it means I'm doing like an hour yoga class every day, and I will say I have not been getting any of the consistent like knots and pains that I usually get from figure skating and my aerobic exercise and even sleeping. I really need to get a better pillow, but shopping for a pillow is miserable. But I need to get a better pillow because I have a lot of neck pain from my stupid pillow. Anyway, I have been pleasantly surprised how much doing yoga every day. And like there are some like body downsides of yoga to me, in that a lot of yoga, I know how to modify it, but a lot of yoga tends to be a lot of wrist based, at least the way that it's done in like yoga studios in the West. And I have really poor wrists because I've gotten surgery on both my wrists, and also I have arthritis. So I have like any kind of hand stuff. And the yoga does not in any way make the arthritis stuff better. Like I still can't like straighten this elbow all the way, but it really does relieve a lot of those like muscle things. And I think it keeps making me think about like, should I just, when I don't have the yoga studio membership anymore, should I be focusing on, because like I'm not doing anything I couldn't do on my own. But the reality is, I would not devote this much time to stretching on my own if I wasn't locked in a room and forced to do it. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I have 1 minute to get to my next meeting, so we need to go. I hope everybody has with their massage. I hope it goes better this time and no one loses their license. ADHD Queen says you found me by the planner stuff. See, this is a good reason to do it. Please send your floofs of the week, or I don't know, suggestions, anything. If you have an actual financial question, send them to questions@ohmydollar. I hope you have fun at Juneteenth. I hope you have a good time waking up at 6 a.m. to teach Egypt a workshop. Any of these things. Have a lovely, lovely rest of your week. I have to go have a meeting for my union. Stay safe. Stay hydrated. Pet a cat if you have one available. And I will see you all soon.